It's Friday, and you know what that means. Reboot mania, one stinky grounded plane, and the biggest documentary in the country? Where to begin? For more, we're joined by New York Times bestselling author of the Will Wilder series and Fox News contributor Raymond Arroyo. Okay, Raymond, there were more reboots announced this week.
Yes.
It's like, you know, the 90s have returned. What is the latest?
The 90s are back with a vengeance. Frasier may be rebooted. Charmed, the show, remember the three witches? They're going to reboot that. And the biggest reboot that's causing so much blowback, Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
What?
Do you remember this show?
No.
With Michelle Gellar. You don't remember this show?
I never watched it.
It was a huge, this was one, in the 90s, this was one of those kind of seminal shows that captured the zeitgeist of the time. It was a girl fighting back who could be both beautiful and tough.
Well, setting people on fire.
Well, there's a lot of blowback because they now want to recast Buffy as a black actress, have a black actress play the lead role. And I want to share this tweet with you. This is indicative of some of what's happening on social media. This is a staff writer for Vulture, an Angelica Jade, and she writes, she's an African-American writer. She says, I'm not interested in seeing a black Slayer take on the role of Buffy or even seeing gender and race-bent reboots. It's boring and insulting. We deserve our own mythology. That is a great important, I think, take on all of this. Remember a few years ago in 2014, they tried to relaunch Murder, She Wrote, the old Angela Lansbury show, with Octavia Spencer.
Oh,
that went nowhere. Well, Angela Lansbury said, Cabot Cove is our little world. This character is so particular to that time and place. I can't see it. The fans agreed with her. That reboot died.
Is Angela Lansbury still working?
Yes, she's 94 years old.
She's unbelievable.
Doing stage work. I mean, the woman's unbelievable. Anyway, my problem with these reboots and trying to recast them and make gender points, tell new stories for this generation. You're depriving this generation of their characters, their stories, by trying to squeeze them into these old wineskins or old sitcoms, in this case. I've kind of had it with the reboots.
No, and it's all like the Benetton approach to casting. It's like everybody's
non-traditional casting.
No, it's just,
however, if you're going to do a reboot...
Star Wars. The Star Wars things are the worst.
Everybody Loves Raymond would make a great reboot. Patty Heaton, Ray Romano, if you're listening, you know, start right.
Oh,
Be good.
Okay. Yeah, you just want to
I love that show. Now, speaking of reboots...
I didn't watch any of those.
Now, this is a curious story where we need a reboot from last night. A Spirit airplane was grounded over what people on the plane were calling a stinky sock smell.
What?
The plane going from New York to Fort Lauderdale was diverted to Myrtle Beach. This is not, I'm not making this up.
Spirit is, God bless them, is the worst.
Okay, don't defame
It's the
Spirit.
worst experience. I'm sorry. I've been on Spirit Airlines before. They charge you for air, for God's sake. You can't, if you go, don't breathe, because it's 25 bucks.
I'm bringing the camera next time she tries to get on a Spirit flight.
No, sorry.
But here's what happened.
Can do.
The passengers started complaining because they were getting nauseous, they were getting headaches, and not just a few of them, so they grounded the plane in Myrtle Beach. But when people went aboard, they couldn't find the source of the smell. And I was thinking, why didn't you check the passengers? That's probably, you got a stinky sock smell. Have you traveled when these people take their shoes and then the socks?
No, I took a photo of a flight from Chicago this past week.
Not you.
Well, I didn't, not the face, but just about a 20-something, had bare feet and was putting her filthy bare foot with toe rings on the armrest. Next, okay. I got like a dry heave when I saw this.
This is why every time I
filthy people.
Well,
here's a message: if you're traveling, it's not your bedroom. Otherwise, just show up in an adult diaper and call it a day.
It's not your bathroom either. They're clipping the nails. That's the worst. Clipping the toenails, which I've seen.
Changing babies on the pull-down tray tables. Have you seen that?
You got to change them somewhere.
Oh, no. This is why every time I travel,
I break out those Lysol wipes, and I know you call me Felix Unger, but I scrub every surface.
And now it's at the point when you travel with Raymond, now it's at the point where people ask Raymond. It is the odd couple. People, and I'm like throwing things all over the place. Raymond's like, don't move. And he's like wiping stuff down.
Don't touch anything. You got to clean it before you put yourself there.
All right. Before we go, there's a movie that's about to become the highest-grossing biographic documentary in history. It's got to be a Winston. No, it's already done. Churchill, Reagan.
Laura.
What is it?
Laura. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine?
I hated
Would you
Mr.
be mine?
I
Why do you hate Mr. Rogers?
I couldn't. I was
Look,
afraid.
look what I'm doing for you today.
I was
I'm putting my
afraid
cardigan
of
on
that
just
whole
for
little
you.
village. I found
Why?
like the characters
neighborhood of make-believe? You didn't like that? Put your cardigan on, Ingram. You'll feel warm. Look, I already feel better. I feel warmer just being in my cardigan.
You're either a cardigan person or you're not. And I'm not one. I'm messing up my chords.
The new Mr. Rogers movie, Would You Be My Neighbor? It's
that
on
sweater
track.
of yours is the worst.
I kind of people like my sweater.
No turtlenecks. No.
This movie
Men with turtlenecks.
This movie is about to make $25 million at the box office. It is the biggest documentary in the last 5 years. And to give you some idea, Al Gore's movie, that Inconvenient Truth sequel,
box office.
It made $3.7 million at the box office.
Gas bag.
And the Pope Francis movie earlier this year,
Bomb.
$1.7 million at the box office. But now, why are people going to this Mr. Rogers movie?
Innocence.
Well, I think it's innocence, decency,
wonderment.
Someone who is uplifting people and using the medium for good.
Just like us.
That's
We're
what
so
people
uplifting.
want. We're just like you, Ingram.
Well,
just like you.
None of the satire or cheap cynicism of our segments. This is a beautiful little town, and
let me tell you about Mr. Rogers. He was a Presbyterian minister who used the medium for good. He thought he could uplift children,
amazing.
help them through difficulties. He was also, I discovered watching the movie, a lifelong Republican. You'll be happy to know.
I got a sense of that. Did he have slip-on shoes or are they tie shoes? I can't remember.
I think he did have slip-ons. He would take them off and put the tie sneakers on. He would put the sneakers on. But it was a very warm...
You're either Mr... I wasn't a Mr. Rogers. That was like New Zoo Review kind of thing.
Children were captivated by him.
They were.
And we need a little more of that tenderness and gentleness on TV. And non-political...
Okay. Banish that from your wardrobe.
Do you like the... you don't like the cardigan?
No, we exposed bad cardigan.